The Japanese Communist Party condemns Dragon Quest series over gender stereotypes and excessive sexiness. Now, when you actually look at the character, they're not excessively sexy. I mean, I can show you some anime that goes beyond this. But ever since I started my YouTube channel, I was always puzzled by why people who are supposed to be somewhat important, like politicians, why do they care about such trivial nonsense? Why do they care about characters in a video game, which is made for entertainment? And after studying a lot of communist literature, I finally understood. You see, they don't care about video games. What they care about, and they often say, sparking a conversation. Which, like many of the terms communists use, doesn't mean what you think it means. Sparking a conversation means dominating a conversation. They want to control the conversation. So two of the main points of modern leftist ideology has to be discourse and power. And controlling the conversation is basically both of them manifesting itself. Now, when you say a conversation, that doesn't mean speech necessarily, although that's part of it. Because people have different ways of communicating besides speech. People communicate through art, through music, through dance, through song, through entertainment. All of these are ways that a person can communicate a message to another. So if they're interested in controlling the conversation, in controlling the narrative, all of these aspects have to submit to the leftist ideology. So in the case of Japan, if you actually read a little bit about communism, they probably want equality between the sexes. So if you do further reading in the academia, what they actually want is the abolition of gender. Because that's how you get equality. If it doesn't exist, then there are no more discriminating factors based on gender. Now, this is something that a lot of women in the West apparently aren't happy with, but I can point you to many leftist academics that are advocating for the abolition of gender. And in order to abolish gender, you have to abolish gender stereotypes. So, you know, the concept of this, like, it needs to be abolished because this can only be fulfilled by a beautiful woman. Like, if you take an old lady, if you take a hag, and you dress her in these clothings, it looks ridiculous. If I were to dress in these clothings, I would look ridiculous. But the only way you can express the sentiment from this picture is if you have a very beautiful lady that is attractive and dressed like this, it creates the emotion that you get to see when you're looking at this picture, right? So they don't like that. This has to go because, again, you can't have gender abolition if only one part of the demographic can pull this off. So this is why they're against the video game Dragon's Quest, because they want to spark the conversation. They want to control the conversation. And they want to eliminate this from every avenue possible. They want to eliminate it from video games, music, art, so on and so forth. Make it politically incorrect to even talk about this. Like, make it politically incorrect to say that only a woman can look like this, because then they would say, well, what about a trans woman, right? So, like, that is the goal in criticizing video games when done by a politician or a person that you would think would have much more important things to do than to worry about Dragon's Quest.